Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. It is the Monday after the opening weekend of Dragon Age, the Veilguard. The numbers are in, the reviews are in, the discussion is all over the interweb. Some good, some bad, some simply showing evidence of the oh so intricate puzzles and the wonderful engaging dialogue. But that's just the what are we called, the right-wing chuds who actually put our money where our mouth is to showcase the game and show that, after dunking on this atrocity, showing our audiences that, the original things we were talking about is actually the least of the problems with this game. But we're to be ignored. We're not part of the modern audience. Thank goodness for that one. But what happens when someone who actually is a game developer, a studio CEO, are we just supposed to ignore him? Brush his criticism off to the side because, he does what it is that they're trying to do. Now, who could I be talking about? The man, the myth, the legend, none other than the CEO of Moon Studios. Go ahead and adjusting his crown as he walks into the room. Of the article over on that Park Place. Moon Studios CEO Thomas the Mahler describes Dragon Age the Veilguard writing as infantile and terrible, and that's probably the nicest thing you can say about it there. In a recent post to X, Mahler, who is currently developing No Rest for the Wicked, which I will be purchasing and streaming for you lovely, lovely people, at least the ones that show up, because it looks like it's a much better game, wrote, I grew up in the 80s. Hey, right there with you, Thomas. Even as a young boy back then, I always thought TV shows were low-effort trash. Hey, now, we had some pretty good bangers. I mean, some of the cartoons I grew up watching were strictly there to sell toys and tell relatively interesting stories, and, well, we're not getting too much of that as far as interesting stories anymore, so, what's wrong with 25-minute toy commercials? We need those back. Don't be so mean. Anyway, because every show back then was trying to be as politically correct as possible. Not in the 80s. In the 90s, yes, 100%. I don't think they were trying to be so politically correct in the 80s. Definitely not the late 70s. Every show was about happy families always trying to paint a perfect picture. You need to go back and watch Family Ties, my dude. There's one particular episode that isn't exactly perfect. Always being careful not to talk about anything that could be the slightest controversial. Thomas, I think we grew up in different areas. We had some controversial shows out there. Then The Simpsons. Oh, here we go. He is talking about it. We had some controversial episodes. I guess it was around the time when The Simpsons and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dropped, and that stuff suddenly felt radical because every now and then the writers on these shows dared to approach subjects that were real. And that is something I can compliment that little era, that brief, well, it feels brief considering my age, era of TV shows where reality was shown to you on TV, not necessarily up front in your face, on the nose, smashing you over the head, preachy and lecturing. They just showed you things that could and couldn't happen and possible ways of how to deal with it. I think it was done relatively well. But back to the article. The writers on these shows dared to approach subjects that were real. And whenever they tried that, it resulted in episodes that were memorable to say the least. I'd like to think it's because the writers managed to put some of their own experiences in there, he continued. Can't disagree with you on that one. I think that's what we're getting with Dragon Age Veilguard. Definitely. Putting their own experiences. Interesting self-inserts, narcissistic self-inserts. Anyway, then in the late 90s, The Sopranos dropped. And suddenly, it was clear that TV shows didn't have to be trash. They still don't have to be trash. Children's shows don't have to have the excuse, well, it's just a show for children. Look, stop insulting your kids. I watched Watership Down when I was a child. I watched heavy metal too, but don't tell my dad. And these were powerful shows. Oh, Secret of Nim, The Dark Crystal. These were, Black Cauldron, quote unquote, children's television, children's entertainment. They were written with intelligence. They were written with strong stories. What we get nowadays is absolute garbage And the excuse given, what do you care? It's for children. Well, sorry, if I want my children to watch good, entertaining stories, that's not what we're getting. Episodic form could actually be used to give even more insight into characters, their trials and tribulations, etc. And it kept going from that point on. We saw more and more TV shows that delivered excellent drama like The Wire, Breaking Bad, etc., etc. Look at that, a screenshot from No Rest for the Wicked. I do want to play this game. I can't wait. He then turned his attention to the astronomically successful game for Electronic Arts debuting on Steam. The best debut on Steam when they hadn't really debuted a game on Steam like ever. Reaching not even 90,000. Well, let's go ahead and give them 90,000. They were less than 100 away. BioWare, the beloved, the famed, the shadow of its former self, BioWare, putting out a game on opening weekend in a popular franchise that didn't have 90,000 concurrent players at peak over the weekend. And it is being lauded as a success, breaking records yet to come. I think you're reading the numbers wrong. If Dragon Age the Veilguard was such an astronomical success, we would see article after article after article telling everyone just how many copies it sold across all platforms. But here we are, 3 days, 4 days, because it released on the 31st. Here we are, November 4th, at the time of this recording, and I have not seen one single article saying anything about the sales numbers, only that it almost reached, or that it reached 89,000 concurrent players on Steam. We can't find the numbers on PlayStation because they don't release those numbers, which is a shame. We need some sort of database like Steam has. So, makes you wonder, if it is such a massive success, a return to form, as has been said over and over and over and over and over and over again, almost like it's a script that they send out to all the usual suspects. If it is such a return to form, then why haven't they told us what the sales numbers are? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Back to the Veilguard and video games. Looking at games now, it's clear to see that we are apparently moving back to the Stone Age of political correctness. They call it something a little bit different now, Thomas. It started with political correctness. I do apologize for that. My generation started that. Oopsie doopsie. Well, political correctness has become, what's the word? Diversity, inclusion, and equity. That is the root cause. I don't want to offend anyone, so I have to say the right things. Start pushing the envelope. Stop worrying about people's feelings and just be entertaining. Let's forget about the old PC rules. Let's forget all the rules and just make art. How about that? I just watched a Dragon Age playthrough. I am so sorry, Thomas. I'm doing a Dragon Age playthrough. And I'm sorry for myself, but hey, I'm sadistic. And it's quite unfathomable, yes it is, how infantile and terrible the writing is. Everything feels sanitized and dehumanized, and oh, that's among other things, good sir. My goodness, I don't know why we're suddenly thinking that this is okay. Well, don't worry, we don't think it's okay. We, as the players, as the potential customers for your game, good sir, your studio's games, and of course, games across the industry. As potential customers, we are voicing our opinion, but oh, time and time again, if we have the wrong opinion, if we practice wrong think, we are shouted down and called nasty, foul, vicious little names that have absolutely no meaning anymore. They hold no weight because they've been used over and over and over again. So we continue to speak our mind, make our videos, have our live streams and discussions on Twitter and X or whatever the hell you want to call it, or whatever Elon Musk wants to call it. We will continue to voice our opinion. We will continue to move forward and get the word out. And we will continue to either A, open our wallets when we have studios that respect us and respect us as customers and our opinions as customers, or we will shut them locked tight for studios that continue to insult our intelligence, our integrity, and disregard our opinions. But again, I digress. Let's see. Your job as a writer is to entertain people, is to write about things that are heartfelt. I can't read heartfelt without laughing anymore. I'm sorry. Interesting. If you know, you know. Interesting and true, to draw people into that world that you created. And if this is the best you can come up with, you shouldn't be a writer in the first place. Well, you have no idea how many people are on your side, Thomas. I hate to sound so harsh. No, do not apologize for sounding so harsh, because that is what we need. We need these harsh opinions, these harsh realities, crude, rude, blunt, whatever you want to call them. But they need to be said. People need to be told no. People need to be told that, sure, that was a nice try if it's your first time, but it's garbage, and here's why it's garbage. That is the key thing there. You can't just go around saying, oh, this is fantastic, I love it, and not give a reason why. You can't sit there and go, this is garbage, I can't stand it, you shouldn't buy it, without giving a reason why. Back up your opinion with why you formed that opinion. And we need more of that. Stop concerning yourself with whose feelings you're going to hurt, because in the process of making art, and video games is art, whether it's the visual art or the writing or whatever, it is art. But in the process of making art and refining your skills, you're going to need people to be honest with you. And I believe it's been called toxic positivity at the studios, where no one can disagree with anyone out there. And if you disagree, you are silenced, you are put to the back, if not completely and totally let go. So for fear of your job, you must be toxically positive and love bomb everything out there. And that, I believe, far and above over diversity, inclusion, and equity. No, I'm not calling it DEI. Far and above that, I believe the toxic positivity, love bombing in the studios is damaging the creative process more than the DIE. Where was I? Oh, yes. I hate to sound so harsh. Please continue to sound harsh, because I'm sure these people had the best intentions. I don't believe they did in mind. I do not believe they had the best intentions in mind. The more and more things that come out of it, it comes across as an intentionally preachy, ideologically driven, narcissistic, self-insert bundle of absolute nonsense, especially with all the little backstories and notes about good old Tosh that have been recently revealed. Haven't made it to Tosh yet in the game, but yay, looking forward to it. But this is what happens when art is created by amateurs. There's nothing wrong with art being created by amateurs, but you need those harsh opinions to help them improve. When all you have surrounding you is yes men and yes women and yes they, thems, whatever, sitting there praising the ground that they piss on, telling them, oh, your work is fantastic, oh yes, slay queen. If that's all you have, your skills will never increase. Ever. You will be stuck in amateur status for your entire career, and that's no place to stay. If you want to get better, you must surround yourself with people who are better than you, not people who will constantly agree with you. When we have created by amateurs, when we have to walk on eggshells, don't do that, and don't dare to approach difficult subjects, you end up with a bland and bad product instead of art. Of course. Always approaching writing with a human angle first. Draw from your own experiences. I really wish these modern day writers for the modern audience would stop using their personal experience, or maybe get out there and find some better personal experiences. Draw from your own experiences and dare to approach subjects that might seem risky. That's what we need. We definitely need more people to take more risks. Everyone wants to play it safe and do it soft, and not because we're so worried about offending people. Some of the greatest works of art are offensive because they make you think. They make you reevaluate perhaps a little. Be risky, be offensive, create art that you want to create, not what the society wants you to create. Because often magic happens when we're okay with making ourselves vulnerable. Mahler is not the only one to criticize the game's dialogue and writing. Ex-user Kyle, you mouthy... Anyway. Kyle put together a compilation of scenes from the game, describing it as cringe and garbage. Again, probably one of the more kinder words to be used about this game. If woke grifters gaslight implying gamers are sexist, racist, and transphobes, this Dragon Age Veilguard cringe compilations indicates the real issue. One word. Activists. Yeah. Queer, valid, or not. I don't even know what this is saying. Streamer Asmongold also shared his thoughts. Asmongold and his community got banned day one from the Reddit forum for Veilguard simply because he said, I'm looking forward to playing this game. I think that's everything you need to know. Shared his thoughts about the game, saying, personally, as someone who came into the game, like, I've never played Dragon Age before, kind of like the same boat I'm in. This is my first game in the series, and I thought it sucked. Well, he added, it wasn't bad. Yes, it was. It wasn't terrible, but it was just kind of not really that good. I don't like the dialogue at all. Yeah, the dialogue is definitely nothing to write home about, that's for sure. Good old Thomas Mahler coming in, saying all the things that the customers have been saying over and over and over again, but maybe, perhaps, hopefully, other game devs will pay attention to him because he's the CEO of a damn video game studio and has made some rather successful products, I believe. Oh, what is it? Oh, Ori and the Blind Forest? Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps? I hear those are kind of good. So he might know what he's talking about as far as gameplay, dialogue, story. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe put out a success. I know BioWare used to know how to do that, but this is not... I was about to say, this is not your daddy's BioWare. It's like, no. At my age, this is not my BioWare. This is not the BioWare that got me into video games, that got me interested in role-playing games, got me interested in Dragon Age and the like. BioWare was a major player in getting me interested in playing all sorts of video games. And now, the state that they're in with Dragon Age the Veilguard and not a lot of hope for their next project. So, we'll have to wait and see, although the outlook is not so good. A product like the Veilguard is going to turn more and more people away. It is going to affect the sales whenever the next Mass Effect game comes out. If it comes out. If BioWare is even a thing by that time. But we'll have to wait and see. My question is, where are the sales numbers? If it did so good, where are they at? But let me know what you think. What do you think about Thomas Mahler's statements, his problematic opinions on the storytelling and the writing of Dragon Age the Veilguard? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those nifty little things that YouTubers beg you to do. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.